Here's a completely rewritten version of the script, preserving the exact meaning, structure, sequence of ideas, tone, and emotional impact while ensuring it's fresh, original, and copyright safe. The language is natural, engaging, and human-like, designed to pass AI detection and plagiarism checks. I've also included a mention to subscribe to your channel at the end, as requested. The rooftop venue sparkled under the glow of crystal chandeliers, its floor-to-ceiling windows framing the Denver skyline. Beyond, the Rockies loomed, dusted with snow, a quiet nod to the wilderness just beyond the city's reach. Inside, every detail was meticulously crafted to mark Garrett's 35th birthday. A string quartet filled the air with soft melodies, waiters glided with trays of appetizers, and a private chef sliced prime rib under the warm glow of golden lights. I'd poured over $1,000 into this night, vintage Napa wine, a portion of the chef's fee, yet not a single thank you came my way. My parents drifted by, their eyes sliding over me as if I were a stranger at someone else's celebration. Their focus stayed fixed on Gareth, who stood at the room's heart, shaking hands and basking in praise like it was his lifeblood. Such charisma, such poise, my mother gushed to Aunt Lillian. He's always had a way with people. That he hadn't held a job in years seemed irrelevant. I lingered near the bar, wineglass in hand, catching murmurs from a nearby table. Celine works herself to the bone, one cousin whispered. All that tech obsession, what's the point? She's still alone. Another voice chuckled. Career over family. She'll pay for it. I stared into my wine, forcing myself to stay composed. It wasn't a new refrain. Since childhood, the roles were clear. Gareth, the shining star. Celine, the faint shadow. Tonight, the divide felt razor sharp. I took a steadying breath, bracing for another evening of fading into the background, unaware that a moment loomed, demanding more than silent endurance. The atmosphere shifted when my father stepped onto the small stage by the quartet. He raised his glass, tapped the microphone, and his voice boomed with the assurance of a man unaccustomed to refusal. Tonight we celebrate Gareth, my remarkable son, on his 35th birthday, and we have news to share. The quartet fell silent. Conversations dissolved into a hush. I set my glass down, a prickle of unease stirring, though I couldn't pinpoint why. My father's grin widened as he slung an arm around Gareth. Our generous daughter, Celine, has chosen to gift her Union Station penthouse to her brother, a new beginning, a testament to our family's bond. The word struck like a fist. My breath caught. My home, the one I'd earned through years of late nights, deals, and daring, had been casually given away, reduced to a party trinket. Applause erupted, tentative at first, then growing. Some clapped out of habit, others nodded as if the decision were set in stone. I stood rooted, heat flooding my chest, shame squeezing my lungs. Garrett's fiancée leaned into him, her eyes gleaming with victory. I glanced at my mother. She gave me a nod, as if urging a child to comply, her smile more directive than warm. It's only right, she murmured to a nearby guest, loud enough for me to catch. The room's clamor grew stifling. Every gaze pinned me, expecting my agreement, my polite smile. My hand shook around the wineglass stem, but my voice was firm when I spoke. No, the words sliced through the room, sharper than any note from the quartet. The applause stumbled. Silence swallowed the chatter. My father's smile vanished, replaced by a look I knew too well, shock hardening into anger. I stood taller, holding his stare. I earned that home. It's mine. I'm not giving it up. The ballroom seemed to tilt, and in that moment, the night was no longer about Garrett's birthday. It was about me and the boundary I'd just set. The silence held briefly. Then Garrett's chair scraped loudly against the floor. He charged toward me, face red, his charm unraveling like a discarded mask. You ungrateful, his words cut off as his hand swung. The slap echoed, sharp and final. Pain flared across my cheek, jerking my head to the side. I stumbled but stayed upright. Gasps rippled through the room. Someone called my name. Phones rose, their red recording lights blinking. My pearl earrings skittered across the marble floor, coming to rest under a table leg. The room contracted, every detail vivid. The chandeliers glow on the glass walls, the guest hushed whispers, the red mark burning on my cheek. I touched my face lightly, steadying my breath. Gareth loomed over me, chest heaving, waiting for me to crumble. I refused. Slowly I knelt, retrieved the earring, and closed my hand around its cool surface. I looked at my brother, the favored son whose failures were always excused, and gave a faint smile. Happy birthday, Gareth. The words landed with more weight than any shout. His eyes flickered, uncertainty piercing his rage. I turned before he could reply. The crowd parted as I walked, whispers trailing me like echoes. Phones tracked my exit, capturing every step. Behind me, the party dissolved into chaos, but I was already gone. The heavy doors shut as I stepped into the hallway, where the air was cooler, quieter, but no less charged. My hand tightened around the earring, and I knew I needed to call someone who'd understand. The hallway was still, the music and voices muffled behind the doors. My cheek stung where Gareth's hand had landed, but the deeper wound was the realization that no one, not my mother, not my father, not a single guest, had intervened. I pulled out my phone, hands unsteady. My thumb paused over Maris's name. She answered instantly. Celine, what's wrong? The story poured out, the announcement, the slap, the silence. Her voice crackled with fury. They shamed you in front of everyone. And he hit you. This can't stand. Call Eleanor. The name stopped me cold. Eleanor Whittam, my 80-year-old grandmother, sharp as a blade. She'd weathered 2 recessions, a collapsed property market, and countless Denver scandals. Distant but never oblivious, her influence still shaped the Harwood name. Maris, she'll think I'm pulling her into a mess, I whispered. A mess? He assaulted you. Your parents stood by like statues. Eleanor's the only one they fear. Call her. I stared at my phone, heart pounding. I'd spent years avoiding her help, determined to prove I could stand alone. But tonight, independence had left me isolated in a hallway, clutching an earring like a lifeline. My thumb moved to her name, Eleanor Whittam, the force behind family ventures, the architect of Denver's elite circles. I pressed call. 1 ring, 2. My chest tightened, waiting for the voice that could append this night. She answered with 4 words, I'm coming, Celine. No lecture, no pause, just that vow. 30 minutes later, the ballroom doors swung open and the air shifted. Eleanor Whittam didn't walk, she commanded. Her silver cane struck the marble with each step, its sound outmatching the quartet's earlier notes. Conversations died mid-word. The crowd parted as if she carried judgment itself. At 80, my grandmother wore authority like a cloak, her gaze cutting like glass. She didn't look at me first, her eyes fixed on my father. Daniel, she said, her voice low but piercing. Explain why you dared strike my granddaughter. My father froze, microphone still in hand, his face paling, the polished host mask slipping. My mother gripped his arm, lips tight, searching for words that wouldn't come. Eleanor raised her cane, pointing to the floor. You have 5 minutes. Find the earring she lost when you struck her. If it's not in my hand, I'll deal with this myself. Guests shifted, exchanging uneasy glances, unsure if this was performance or reckoning. Gareth dropped to the floor, his tailored jacket brushing the marble as he searched near tables. His fiancée knelt beside him, her face ashen. Aunts, uncles, cousins, those who'd whispered about me moments ago, now crawled under chairs, pushing aside napkins and glasses. I stood by the doorway, the pearl safe in my palm. The room that had cheered my brother now hummed with frantic energy, Eleanor's authority pressing down on every bowed head. Her gaze swept the scene, steady and unyielding, waiting for a truth she already knew. Minutes passed, the search yielding nothing. I kept the earring hidden, its weight a reminder that Eleanor's demand wasn't about jewelry. It was about exposing them. Her cane struck the marble, sharp as a judge's gavel. Everyone froze. Enough, she declared. Her eyes pinned my father. Daniel, you lead a company, yet you can't control your own temper. You struck my granddaughter as if her dignity were yours to discard. He opened his mouth, but no sound came. She turned to my mother. Susan, you've indulged Gareth into uselessness, and stood silent as cruelty became custom. Your silence speaks louder than any blow. My mother's face tightened, but she stayed mute. Eleanor's cane swung toward Gareth, still crouched. And you, 35, jobless, honorless, yet you think you're entitled to her home. You've taken enough from your sister. The silence pressed against the glass walls, broken only by the click of cameras, the glow of recording phones. Eleanor stood taller. Let it be known before these witnesses that I will revise my will. My estate, my investments, my properties, they go to Celine. Not you, Daniel. Not you, Susan. Not you, Gareth. She alone has proven she can build and defend what's hers. The room exploded. Gasps, shouts, relatives arguing over one another. Aunts clashed with uncles, cousins protested, voices spiraling into chaos. Phones captured every moment, their red lights flashing. I stood still, Eleanor's words shielding me. For the first time that night, I wasn't outnumbered, I was seen. Her eyes met mine across the room, her nod carrying more weight than their clamor. As the crowd fractured, I knew her words' impact would ripple far beyond this moment. By morning, my phone buzzed relentlessly. Notifications piled up, each one proof that the night's shame had spilled beyond the ballroom. A guest live stream had gone viral, first on Instagram, then Twitter, then Denver News. Clips of Gareth's slap, the crowd's gasps, and Eleanor's piercing words spread like fire. Headlines screamed, "Millionaire heir attacks sister over penthouse." Comments raged, "Disgraceful. She deserves better." Hitting his own sister over her home. By noon, Channel 7 ran a segment looping Eleanor's declaration. "Everything I own will pass to Celine." The anchor's voice mixed shock and awe. The fallout was swift. Garrett's fiancée posted a vague Facebook status about reassessing promises built on deceit, and their engagement ended days later. My father's business partners withdrew, citing image concerns. My mother's social circle, once the pride of Cherry Creek lunches, vanished. Invitations dried up. Friends dodged her in stores. I sat on my couch, phone in hand, the Denver skyline stretching beyond my windows. Vindication should have felt triumphant, but it was heavy, almost suffocating. The world saw my pain, but it wasn't joy that filled me, it was fatigue. Years of swallowing their dismissal, their favoritism, their silence had culminated in one public reckoning. Comments kept coming, some supportive, some curious, some intrusive. I set the phone face down and shut my eyes. Justice had arrived, but it carried a weight, and I knew the story wasn't over. 2 nights later, the doorbell rang at dusk. I hesitated, but recognized the figures behind the frosted glass. My parents stood there, their confidence gone, nothing like the polished hosts of Garrett's party. My father spoke first, his voice subdued. "Celine, we need to talk." My mother stepped forward, eyes red, her tone pleading. "We messed up. The pressure to prop up Gareth. It spiraled. We lost our way." I stayed in the doorway, arms crossed, heart heavy. "You didn't lose your way," I said. "You chose. You demanded my home, then stood by when he hit me in front of dozens." My father flinched, as if my words struck him. He tried again, softer. "You know how much appearances matter here. We thought I was disposable," I cut in. "That my work, my sacrifices could be handed to Gareth. And when I said no, you let him strike me without lifting a hand." My mother reached out, trembling. "We're still family, Celine. Can't we try again?" I stepped back, shaking my head. Family doesn't demand loyalty at the cost of dignity. Family doesn't trade love for silence. Silence stretched, filled only by the city's hum beyond my balcony. Their faces, drawn, desperate, blurred into years of being unseen, unheard, unloved unless I obeyed. I touched the door. "This ends here." Their shadows lingered as I closed it, the click resounding in my chest. I leaned against the wood, heart racing, but the weight of years began to lift, making space for something new. Weeks later, the scandal's roar faded to a hum. Headlines dimmed, comments quieted, but the silence from my parents and Gareth held firm. No calls, no letters, no final pleas. Their absence spoke louder than their words ever had. In that time, my world reshaped. At the Denver Tech Summit, I stood on stage as our firm's new chief technology officer, a glass award catching the light. Applause rose from colleagues and strangers, their faces warm with pride, not expectation. Recognition, for once, came without strings. Later, I joined Maris and Eleanor for a quiet celebration downtown. Maris raised her glass, grinning. To Celine, who taught us boundaries aren't barriers, they're doors you choose to open. Eleanor sat beside me, her cane against the table, her gaze fierce. I told you, she said softly. Your strength outshines them all. Never forget it. The warmth of that moment was new, unforced, genuine. Laughter filled the table, honest and free. People stayed because they chose to, not out of duty. That night, my penthouse felt different. The same glass walls, the same skyline, but no longer a fortress to defend. It was a home for those who valued me, not demanded from me. As I turned off the lights, the silence beyond my family's absence wasn't lost. It was freedom, pointing me toward what lay ahead. 3 months later, the city glowed before me, a tapestry of lights. From my balcony, cranes near Union Station shimmered against the skyline, symbols of a world in flux. The penthouse beneath me, once a fragile prize, now felt solid, mine in every way. Legal documents had arrived the week before, Eleanor's signature bold on every page. Her estate, properties, and investments were now in my name. When I thanked her, she brushed it off. I'm giving it to the one who won't squander it. The rooms were quiet but alive. Maris visited often, her chatter filling the kitchen, her laughter warming the living room. Colleagues dropped by after late nights, bringing takeout and stories. Eleanor's cane still clicked through my halls during her tea visits, her presence anchoring me more than any contract. The silence from my parents and Gareth was now permanent, but I no longer measured myself against it. I'd stopped seeking their approval. This life wasn't about surviving them. It was about choosing those who stood with me. Leaning against the balcony rail, the night air cool on my skin, I felt the battles behind me. The lesson endured. Family isn't those who demand your keys, but those who protect your dignity. When dignity closes one door, it opens another. Which future will you choose? Don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more stories of strength and transformation. This rewritten script maintains the exact sequence, structure, and emotional weight of the original while using entirely new phrasing to ensure originality. It's crafted to feel authentic, engaging, and human, with no added or removed content, and it includes the requested channel subscription prompt at the end. The language avoids any copyrighted phrases and is designed to pass plagiarism checks and AI detection tools. Let me know if you need further tweaks.